Hi, welcome to Let's Talk Gardening. I'm Norma Samuel, Florida-friendly landscaping and urban horticulture agent with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agriculture Sciences, UF-IFAS Extension in Sumter County. Today I'm coming to you from the Villages and I have a special guest. His name is Mr. Steve Turnipseed and he is the founder and former president of the Villages chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society. Today we'll be talking about low-maintenance native plants for residential Florida-friendly landscapes. Thank you for joining me today, Steve.
Thank you, Norma, and welcome everyone to my native plant landscape.
Steve, deed-restricted communities often have expectations of well-maintained landscapes, and homeowners generally want their homes to fit in with the neighborhood, but they don't want to spend a lot of time maintaining their landscapes. How can they achieve that balance, and what recommendations do you have?
My advice is to start out with a design. Keep the design simple and limit the number of plant species to less than 20. Select plants that are relatively low maintenance, like the ones we're going to cover today.
Many of the neighborhoods are much smaller than they were in the past. So, Steve, what are some native trees that you would recommend for these smaller landscapes?
That's a very good point, Norma. Most people don't have room to plant a huge live oak or Quercus virginiana. But fortunately, Florida has a number of smaller oak trees, such as this Myrtle Oak just behind me, that are much more appropriate in size for our residential landscapes. And this Myrtle Oak also keeps its leaves during the winter, just like a live oak. The Turkey Oak, it has finger-shaped leaves which turn an autumn color in the fall, one of the few trees that we have in Central Florida that do that. It also has very textured bark, which makes for an interesting accent. Redbuds are naturally small. They put on a flush of pink flowers very early in the spring before the leaves emerge. Plums, such as flatwoods or Chickasaw, they're very similar in appearance. Excellent small trees. They can be grown as a bush or maintained as a single stem like this very large specimen. Cherry laurel is a wonderful wildlife tree, and it also is a dense evergreen, somewhat medium-sized tree by a tree standard. But I'm keeping these to 12 to 15 feet. When selecting trees, a large shrub, when allowed to grow to its full height, like the one I'm standing next to, can take the place of a small tree in your landscape.
I see you have a lot of shrubs in your landscape. Are there any unique native shrubs that you'd recommend?
Absolutely. Let's start by taking a look at the different cultivars of the Yopon holly. Many people do not realize that a single species can come in many or several different forms and look very different. The regular form of the Yopon holly is a very large bush. The female has brilliant red berries in the wintertime. Both the Yopon holly cultivar Schilling's Dwarf is the smallest of these selections. It grows very dense and slowly. It's often used as a foundation plant or in mass to cover a larger area. Another form or cultivar of the Yopon is the weeping Yopon. It can be grown as a single stem or a multi-stem. And the upright Yopon is also a male, and it's often grown as a single stem and maintained in a tree-like form. I tell people that it looks like a bonsaied oak tree, so it would be a great substitute for a tree when you just don't have the space for one. The Yopon hollies even come in a columnar growth pattern with very upward growing limbs, like in this Scarlet's Peak. Another woody shrub that is similar to the Yopon holly is the Walter's viburnum, which is also available in different cultivars. The selection called Withlacoochee can be grown as a large bush like this one, or trained to be a single stem upright, taking the place of a small tree like the one behind me. Many people have the cultivar of the Walters viburnum referred to as the densa, which is more compact and not as large as the Withlacoochee. A lesser known but outstanding native shrub is the Simpson stopper. The leaves on this evergreen are shiny, with new growth having a red tint. The Simpson stopper has a flush of small flowers in the spring and makes an abundance of showy red berries in the winter. A popular selection of this plant is the Showstopper. Like the Yopon holly and Walters viburnum, it can be trained to grow in any number of shapes, like this espalier that I have in my entry. For part shade areas, the yellow anise is an excellent native shrub that's evergreen, has elongated, smooth leaves. Kuntis make a great addition to a low-maintenance native plant landscape. They have a tropical look, they're evergreen, require very little maintenance.
Now, what about palms? Are there any native palms you can recommend for small landscapes?
If you do want a palm, consider the state tree, which is the cabbage palm, or also referred to as the sable palm. For a palm-like appearance, we have the silver saw palmetto, like the one just behind me.
What role do clump grasses play in these landscapes, Steve?
In Central Florida, turf grass needs to be cut up to 40 times per year. Clump grasses only need to be cut once per year. They're not a spreading ground cover, but grow in dense, easy to manage bundles. Planted in groups like this, they're a great plant to fill in a large area. Good native choices for sunny areas include the muley grass. It's one of the more popular ones. It has a unique, smooth, round blade, giving the appearance of fine texture. The muley grass provides a beautiful flush of purple in October. Fakahachi grass is a larger clump grass that needs some space. It can be the backdrop of a landscape bed or a focal point. The wide, tall blades are beautiful blowing in the wind. Its smaller relative is the dwarf Fakahachi grass. This plant is not a selection but a completely different species. The smaller size allows it to fit into most landscapes.
Are there any native ground covers with a lawn-like appearance that you would recommend?
Ground covers serve an essential role in the overall appearance of a landscape. One of the very best native alternatives for our planting zone is frog fruit or Philonodiflora. It's also called a variety of common names including turkey tangle, capeweed, and matchstick. Frog fruit will produce an abundance of white flowers that provide a food source for pollinators. It is the host plant to 3 butterflies. It's a joy to have a lawn that is full of life. It requires less than half the water and trimming that turf does, plus no pesticides or soil aeration treatments. I've not fertilized this area for the last 2 years. For part shade areas, wet twin flower is a good choice. It looks similar to frog fruit and is also host to the common buckeye butterfly.
What type of plants do you caution residents about using?
If you want low maintenance, then avoid water features and vines. Now, I'm a garden enthusiast, and obviously you can see that I have both. But water features require daily attention, cleaning out the leaves, treating the water to make sure it doesn't overgrow with algae, and just making sure that the pump doesn't run dry. The vines, you have to constantly make sure they stay on the structure where you put them and not go where you don't want them.
Steve, this has been great. Do you have any final advice that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Keep ground cover area to the minimum required by the community deed restrictions. Use mass plantings of low-growing shrubs or clump grasses to fill in other areas. Allow them to grow together to suppress weeds. People like color, but color comes with work. My advice is to limit the use of annuals to small, high-visibility spots, such as pots in the entry or a small bed in the backyard. Finally, create a garden you can enjoy. Instead of a chore, a Florida-friendly landscape can be a pleasure to be in. This comes from the variety of plants, seasonal changes, and the small creatures that it supports. You can also feel good about using less water and chemicals.
Thank you so much, Steve, for giving us a tour of your landscape today and sharing with us some options of native plants that we could put in landscapes, especially the small ones. Thank you to my viewers. We surely enjoy you watching our episodes week after week. I'm Norma Samuel with the University of Florida IFAS Extension in Sumter County.